Well, hey guys, it's that time of year again. It is autumn. Well, almost autumn. In a few days it will be autumn, but it's kind of autumn is in the air. And I've got another 30% off promotion happening over at So Avant-Garde. I do one of these videos every quarter or every season, and we are in autumn, and I've got 12 autumn appropriate fragrances. Although you can wear these fragrances any time of the year, but I feel like you can pull them out perfectly in the autumn. And I've got some great recommendations here for you, all at 30% off with the code Sebastian30 over at So Avant-Garde. Normally, any other time of the year, you can use the code Sebastian10, but Sebastian30 is happening today until Monday. And I also have fragrances here that were recently featured in the mystery box at 30% off as well. And I'll notify you which those fragrances are when I'm talking about them. But we're going to get started with a brand that I'm kind of slowly learning and, understanding more and more. They're not widely distributed, but they are sold over at So Avant-Garde. It's the brand BIRKHOLZ. Are you guys familiar with this brand? So this dark amber, I smelled it and I quite enjoyed it. What I like about it is an amber fragrance, and I'm a big fan of ambers, but also it has a bit of gourmand leanings as well. And of course, I also enjoy gourmand fragrances. So having those two kind of styles of fragrances together is quite delicious. In the end, it's an amber, but it's got vanillic touches. So the notes breakdown features amber, vanilla, tonka, sandalwood, violet, pepper, jasmine, green notes. The pepper in this one also acts a bit smoky, creating a bit of like an incensey pepperiness in here, cutting through. So yeah, it acts a bit fluffy, cakey, creamy, which is kind of nice to have that experience with an amber, which is typically, resinous, balsamic, and vanillic combination of notes. In the end, it's quite delicious. If you like the idea of an amber with slight gourmand leanings, check out Dark Amber from the house of BIRKHOLZ. I think it's a great fragrance and makes me want to discover the brand a bit more because they have a fragrance called Paris Mon Amour or Mon Amour Paris, which is a sesame focused fragrance, which I also really enjoyed. Now I'm also enjoying Dark Amber, and I wanted to recommend it to you guys as well in case you haven't discovered this brand. Definitely, they have some great smelling fragrances, and Dark Amber to me is a great kind of a gourmand slash amber focused fragrance. Next, we're talking about a brand called Plume Impression, and this is their latest fragrance, Love No Shame. If you have been following my Scent Club kits, we do have Murmur d'Eté in a Scent Club kit currently, which is also linked in the info box. If you haven't discovered the house, I think Murmur d'Eté is definitely a great fig fragrance and also a great autumn leaning fragrance. I think I enjoy fig fragrances in the autumn, but I wanted to highlight this one because this one's a bit fruity gourmandesque, and I think fruity fragrances are quite popular these days. And I also find, gourmand fragrances to be quite cozy when it's kind of, starting to become cooler out there and less and less warmth is in the season. But this one features notes of whipped strawberry, cream, cherries, almonds, rose, violets, cinnamon, cocoa, vanilla, sandalwood, and oud. It's a really yummy, creamy, so creamy, fruity. It's almost like when you do any baking or cooking, you're like taking whipped cream, you're, whipping it up or cream in general to make whipped cream. And then you're slowly kind of like folding in strawberry cream, cherries, and things like that, because we've got those kind of fruity notes in this, but they've also thrown in vanilla, of course, because you're gonna sweeten up the whipped cream with the fruits, and they've also got a little bit of a chocolatey edge happening here with the cocoa that's in here. Plus you've got rose, and then also you do have a little bit of spices in here as well. It does have spiciness and nuttiness too. It's quite delicious, and it's also fun and playful. Maybe a bit of Valentine's theme as well. But I find the way this fragrance smells perfect in the autumn because it's got that creamy smoothness. And I find creamy fragrances to be super cozy when it's, autumn weather out there. So let me know your thoughts on Love No Shame. Have you sampled it yet? Do you enjoy that fragrance and that house? And also, did you catch my latest Scent Club kit with Murmur d'Eté in it? Let me know. Add a comment below. All right, this is the first of 3 fragrances that were recently featured in the mystery box. This is Gleam's Coco Bello. So it's a fun fragrance for me. I really enjoy it, and it really transports me back in time when I used to eat a lot of candy, and it had these very interesting flavors, and most importantly, the banana in this. It's a very banana-esque fragrance. So it's kind of interesting fragrance combining multiple genres. For sure, it's gourmandesque. And of course, it's also kind of tropical fruity, and it's a bit candied as well. And then it goes also marine because we've got coconut water in here, banana smoothie, cotton candy, sand, and sea breeze. What a combination, right? What did you think about this fragrance? I really enjoyed it. It's fun and playful. And again, as I said, it does transport me back in time when I was young and, chomping on chewy candies and things like that. And I was mentioning in a video recently that I picture myself sitting on the sand. I can smell the sea breeze, and all I'm tasting is this like chewy banana kind of candy that is really, really hard to chew on. And I'm chomping on it, and I've got my mouth full of it as a young kid or something. That's the experience I get. But it's a fun and playful fragrance, and it's very nostalgic to me. So that's Coco Bello from the House of Gleam. Let me know your thoughts, what you think about that. Then we've got a fragrance from the House of MORPH. It's TONKATONIC. This is also quite a delicious fragrance. This was actually featured in a mystery box earlier this year, and it's become one of my favorite fragrances from this house. It's a Tonka bomb. Tonka beans are so yummy. They can make really great fragrances out of Tonka beans because it's for sure used as a base note, not gourmand, in fougere fragrances. And of course, they bring out the gourmand sides of it, kind of nutty, bitter, almondy in gourmand fragrances. And that's kind of what you get here. This features lots of tonka, almonds, jasmine, sandalwood, orange blossom. There's ambrette, benzoin, coconut water, and figs. It is creamy. It's very, very powdery and super, super delicious and uber nutty as well. The figs, I guess, adds a slight greenness to it, maybe slight fruitiness, but you got a lot of milky qualities here. Also because it's featuring sandalwood, but you have a little bit of a mixture of jasmine and orange blossom here to give it a kind of a white floral edge. But super yummy, very, very creamy, and also bitter almondy. Might give you a bit of the idea of marzipan, maybe marzipan with kind of a orange blossom or white flower edge to it. Don't forget, it also gets musky. This is TONKATONIC from MORPH. Let me know if you're familiar with that fragrance. All right, another fragrance that was recently featured in the mystery box, and I mentioned this was the first fragrance I spoke about in both of the videos I've done, or maybe the third video as well. This is a very unique smell. I haven't smelled anything like this ever, and I really, really love it. And I was so grateful to have featured this in a mystery box. In fact, I find it to be so good, I wish I might have waited to feature it in an original regular Scent Club kit. But this is Affinessence Safran Neroli. What do you guys think about this one? It is currently selling at 30% off just today until Monday. And if you really like this one, I highly recommend you take advantage of that discount code, because again, those discount codes don't happen that frequently. So this is featuring notes of saffron, neroli, karak black tea, honey, davana, ylang ylang. Very, very unique smell. Really, really wonderful. There's a creamy consistency about it, and it adds this very interesting layer. The spiciness of the saffron is there. It might actually even provide a slight leathery effect happening, but the combo of saffron and neroli, match made in heaven. I can't believe how unique and original this thing smells, and it's that kind of a very kind of addicting smell. There's also a layer of creaminess under here. So once again, super, super awesome. You're really picking up the black tea, or the karak black tea, which is also very spicy. So you've got all these elements in here, and I can see, because I had karak black tea in Dubai, where they also have a lot of saffron stores. So you go walk in and it smells a bit leathery with the saffron overdosed in the stores. So kind of takes me back to my time in Dubai, but a very, very, very unique smell in fragrances here. I find it to be so unique, and a wonderful offering from this house, which for the longest time I was recommending their Santal Basmati, which is a sandalwood that has a kind of basmati rice-like effect. They might even have that fragrance there. Also recommended if you like those kind of savory, woody fragrances. But this is part of the Heart Notes collection, and really, really in love with the way the fragrance smells. So that's Safran Neroli from the House of Affinessence. Then we got a fragrance from the House of J.U.S. It's Spicydelice. You guys familiar with this one? This is a really great holiday spice vibe fragrance, and we're headed towards Thanksgiving. You can pull these out for those kind of holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, maybe New Year's. It's super spicy. There's fresh spices here. There's warm spices here. And it's this kind of like a potpourri of warm spices, maybe a bit of a chai effect as well. Because there's cinnamon here, there's cardamom, ginger, pink pepper, cloves, nutmeg, davana. It's a spice bomb, I would say, but more of a realistic spice bomb. I'm saying spice bomb because there's a famous fragrance out there called Spice Bomb. Very mass market, spicy tobacco warm fragrance. This is more like you've opened up jars of spices and you've mixed it together into a bowl and you're kind of like blending it and you're smelling all of those spices together. Really wonderfully done. This is J.U.S. Spicydelice. Let me know what your thoughts are on that fragrance. So several years ago, I did a video on the brand Gravel. Gravel is a house that was resurrected, and I think their original fragrance was a fragrance from the past that they reformulated and brought back, and each of the bottles had little gravel pieces floating around in the bottom. They no longer do that with their new fragrances, but they have a new fragrance called Eau de Aspiration that I wanted to highlight here. And I feel like it's a perfect autumn fragrance. It's kind of fruity with a sand accord. It gets balsamic and it gets a bit spicy and a bit musky. And of course, it's got like some slight leathery undertones and things like that. And I felt like if you like these kind of fragrances, fruity, but in a way that it doesn't act childish or young. It's a bit more mature. But everything about it is really great. It's also not something that super projects, so it's a bit more closer to the skin. It's a bit more subdued. And those of you that like these kind of fragrances might check out Eau de Aspiration from Gravel. And again, the notes break down: cranberries, sand accord, tolu balsam, loganberry, ambergris, davana, osmanthus, musk, moss, leather, ginger, bergamot, and tonka. And a really great fragrance, I think. The new collection of fragrances from this house is pretty solid. I hopefully can do a video about the 4 fragrances, but in the meantime, if you're curious to discover any of their other fragrances, I do have a standalone video out there. But here we got a very nice, almost like stone fruity, but not quite. It's kind of a red fruits, because cranberries have a very interesting smell to them, and you can totally smell it here. Cranberry, like vodka cranberry, if you ever had that. That's the kind of smell I get with this. But it's interesting that they've combined it with the sand accord. You do really kind of get that texture in here. And of course, you've got other fruits like the loganberry and the osmanthus, kind of gives you a fruitiness as well. But here we've got kind of a balsamic ambery effect in the dry down, and a bit musky and mossy as well. I think it's perfect autumn fragrance. It smells like it. To me, the fruits that are in here gives me a bit of a, dried fruit effect. And I always find dried fruits to be a perfect autumn fruity note. So that's Eau de Aspiration from the house of Gravel. Then this is the other fragrance that, I guess we had 4 fragrances that were in the mystery box, but this is another one that was featured in the mystery box. This is Adamo Parfum's Eden. So Eden was the last fragrance I spoke about in the videos, but again, I mentioned that there's no order. It's the order I receive fragrances in is the order I do the videos for our mystery box, and this last samples we got was of Adamo Parfum's Eden. And I also featured this in a Plum fragrances video recently. In the end, it's a super big white floral bouquet mixed in with a big bouquet of woods. And along the way, you've got some freshness from grapefruit and a lot of juicy plums. And plums, again, I've featured this in a plum video. Plums are not a note that comes up quite frequently, and I always look for a note of plum in fragrances, and I'm curious to find them. And here, it's a really nice contrast. Plums and white flowers together, really, really wonderfully done. And that is Eden. If you haven't checked out the house and this fragrance, please do. I do recommend that quite a bit. It does kind of remind me a little bit of Tilia from the house of Marc-Antoine Barrois, but they go in different directions in the end. This one does get fruity, and the other is focusing on linden blossom. So that's Adamo Parfum Eden. Let me know what your thoughts are on it. All right, last fragrance that was featured in the mystery box. This is Gritti's Eclectique. Let me know your thoughts on this one. This is a strawberry focused fragrance, but I was mentioning in the video, this does kind of give you somewhat of an idea of Aventus with the strawberries, but it doesn't stay there. It gets quite powdery, and then it starts reminding me of fragrances from Tiziana Terenzi in the style of fruity fragrances that house does. But again, it's a very powerful, intense offering, and super fruity. It's juicy, it's fresh. And that's when I first started thinking, okay, this is like Aventus style, and maybe they've replaced the pineapple with strawberries. Then it completely changes and it becomes powdery, it becomes sweet and musky and floral. But it has strawberries, coconut, bergamot, melons, jasmine, black currant, heliotrope, amber, white musk, and vanilla. So yeah, it does get fruity and vanillic for sure. Lots of fruit. But again, it still acts very fresh. There's a freshness about it. It's not a super deep kind of a wear because it becomes fresh, but it does eventually become, more, it has more depth with it as it's settling down. And, some of the more intense notes comes through. But notes like heliotrope, the musk, and the vanilla, and the amber gives you a bit of a powdery effect here as well. So that is Eclectique from the house of Gritti. Let me know if you're familiar with that. I'm going to recommend a few designer offerings over at So Avant-Garde. First of which is Brioni's Eau de Parfum Intense. My favorite in the collection of 5 fragrances from Brioni so far as part of the Brioni Eau de Parfum collection. I like this one because it has oud. It's a designer oud. It's a Western oud. It's a wearable oud. Plus, I like the juiciness of the apples that's in here. So it's oud, green apple. There's ambroxan, saffron, patchouli, vanilla, bergamot, tangerine, pink pepper. So it's a nice combo of spices, fresh zingy citruses, the oud accord that's in here, musky touches of the ambroxan, a little leathery with the saffron. You do have that leathery, spiciness of the saffron, very noticeable. And then, of course, the juiciness of the green apple. Definitely a really solid offering created by Michelle Almerac and another perfumer. I'm drawing a blank with her name right now, but great scent. Designer offering, great men's designer collection of fragrances that I think if you haven't tried, definitely should check out. And then we've got a fragrance from the house of Tumi. It's Continuum. Still my favorite offering from this house. I quite like this one. It's definitely a very solid men's designer fragrance that kind of leans warm and spicy. To me, I also get booziness and fizziness from this, but it features notes of tobacco leaves, suede, musk, amber, incense. There's orris, cistus, and oud. And for me, it's a really delicious, warm, spicy men's fragrance that has a booziness about it and also a fizziness. Like it's almost like I'm smelling rum and Coke or something together, but a very fizzy Coca-Cola. You've got all the, warmth in there, the spiciness, the powdery touches, smoky touches. And the oud, once again, it's not like your, daring Middle Eastern oud. It's more of a Western oud. It's more like a Western oud accord, most likely. But a really wonderfully made fragrance for the guys. It's Continuum, and a woman can totally pull that off as well. But it is a male targeted offering. And then I'm going to end the video with this really awesome layering duo of new notes Caramello Vanilla and Musk Complexity. The fragrances separately are really super delicious. The Caramello Vanilla is a gooey, caramelly, sticky, gourmand vanilla fragrance. And the Musk Complexity is a super sexy, sweet take on musk with some citrusy touches. And the two together gives you a really awesome musk ravageur vibe-like fragrance. I highly recommend it if you like musk ravageur but you want a bit more intensity, maybe a bit different because they're not identical but they have similar smells. Then you should try it. But on their own, the Caramello Vanilla is, again, very vanillic and also very creamy and also caramelly. And the musk, it has that kind of sweet, spicy, slightly citrusy, fresh take on musk. Although I'm saying fresh take, but it's a fresh start rather than fresh take. It gets warmer as it's settling. It's just a kind of a fresh start with it. But when you combine the two fragrances together, let's do that real quickly. I'm going to layer down Caramello Vanilla first because I find it to be the more intense and the more base-heavy fragrance. And I'll spritz on top the Musk Complexity. And together, it's a really super delicious Musk Ravageur-like fragrance. It's awesome. Really, really warm, spicy, but also super sexy because the Musk Complexity has that sexiness. So those are my recommendations, but we're ending the list with the combo of these two fragrances. If I find a great layering duo, I highlight them, and I always highlight them in these kind of videos or any kind of videos. But try this combo, Caramello Vanilla and Musk Complexity, and let me know your thoughts. But that's the video for you guys. Again, the discount code is Sebastian30. Use it until Monday, and after that, you can use Sebastian10 as the discount code is no longer available. But let me know your thoughts on these fragrances. Let me know what your thoughts are on some of the fragrances that were in Mystery Box. Do you like them? Have you been wearing them? Do add a comment below. And thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please list below. Please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon. And also, don't forget to give a thumbs up to this video so that it'll help with the algorithm. See you guys later now. Bye-bye.